Well, let me just, so the session that we're starting now is RYLA Staffing. And the question we're posing is, how do you recruit, select, and hire and train your RYLA staff? So if that was the session you were intending to be in for our last go-round, this is us.
You should be able to share your screen too. I have checked it.
I just tried it. I couldn't. I don't want to spend lots of time trying.
Okay.
I'll try one more time.
All right. Sorry.
It's not. Yeah, it's not giving me that option. So, okay. So, welcome to our last session of the day, and thank you for your time. My name is Mary Hoskins. I come from District 5110. So I'm in Southern Oregon, actually. Our district covers about 2/3 of Oregon and the very northernmost part of California. And I am the Youth Services Chair for District 5110. And I've been involved with our RYLA program since 2008, so 12, 13 years. And RYLA is my passion. I'm assuming that most of you have a passion for young leaders as well. So I'm wondering if we might go around and have people introduce themselves and tell us your name and your district and a little bit about your RYLA. What size is your RYLA? What age do you target for your participants? And tell us a little bit about your staff, who staffs your RYLA program. So I'll just go around and ask the people I see on my screen. Jim Hoops, can you tell us about yourself and your RYLA program?
I'm Jim Hoops. I've been involved with RYLA for several years. Our RYLA is about 35 years old. I'm also working with the middle school RYLA program. We are a 5-day program at the YMCA of the Rockies. There are about, we have 2 sessions that run over 200 each session. What else did you want?
And how is your RYLA staffed?
Our RYLA is staffed by senior counselor, which are RYLA Rotarians. And
Okay.
the program is really run by the junior counselors, which are kids who have been through RYLA previously. And there is a pair that have been through being JCs for 2 years. And the 3rd year, they could be a head counselor, and they are very much involved in the curriculum.
Okay, thank you. John Kenyon.
I'm with Jim, who actually has been involved in the Young RYLA program for 20 years.
Okay.
You can see the conference behind me. This is pre-COVID. I'm with the middle school program. We have 5 different conferences, but the middle school is comprised of 2 different Young RYLA conferences. Each one, as Jim put, about 144. We have double the, twice as many kids want into this than we have ability to put into it. So right now we're maxed out at about 100, and we've been running 144 per conference. And as Jim said, it's a 5-day program, Sunday through Friday.
Great, thank you.
And he also mentioned we have teams, 12 teams. Each one of those teams has 12 kids, conferees we call them. And each one of those teams has a senior counselor and a junior counselor that lead the team.
Thank you. I forgot to ask, is there somebody who could take some notes for us in the chat function so that we have a record of this? Anybody?
I'll try.
Thank you. Thank you. How about Mark Harbison from Hawaii?
Hi there. Yeah, I've been pretty intensely involved with the RYLA on Maui, the island of Maui, We have kind of a unique situation in our district because we have 4 main islands and they each have their own RYLA with their own leadership, their own style, their own locations. Generally speaking, they are 3 days to 4 days, 80 to 100 students each. And we are very much in transition now, and we have been even before COVID. A lot of changes in leadership, availability of facilities. For example, on the island of Maui, we have only 2 youth camps available, both of them very expensive. Finance has become a major challenge because the clubs are resisting. And so I'm very interested to hear how all of you are dealing with this. And I'm very interested in the staffing question because in the islands, it's very much an issue. How do you ensure professionalism and how do you expand the program so that it goes beyond phys ed exercises? So yeah, I'm all ears.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Alan.
I'm with 5150, and so is Larry,
Yeah.
who's also in the chat room.
Well,
So
you
our
can,
RYLA camp,
you can speak for me and I'll take the notes, okay?
that's fine. Our RYLA camp is a 3-day affair in April down at Scotts Valley, California. Salvation Army camp facilities, which is tremendous. We have about 200 kids who attend from San Mateo, San Francisco, and Marin counties, from the high schools, sophomores and juniors from those high schools. We staff our camps with volunteers from Rotarians and some non-Rotarians, and we have alumni of RYLA who also help out and they're pretty instrumental in making it work. The staff and the alumni get training, and we had a pretty intensive training for this past year, which we didn't put to use, but we want the counselors to be trained as facilitators in our in RYLA and to facilitate the teams that they're going to be leading. We have 2 counselors per team of 10 to 12 people, 10 to 12 kids. And it's a pretty intensive program for the kids in leadership training. And there's a format that we use for leadership training, the 5 principles of leadership, which is came into being a couple of years ago in RYLA. So it's a little more structured, and it's really, I think, pretty good in terms of imparting leadership training to kids. I've had leadership training throughout my career, and the stuff that we present in RYLA and the kids get exposed to is pretty damn good. Compares very, very favorably to what I've received in leadership training.
Thank you. Joan Lewis.
Hi, I'm from 5520. I and Alice Melberg, who's also on this session, are co-directors of the Girls RYLA Camp. The only, I wish I could tell you what we're doing this year, but of course the answer is
Of course, yeah.
But based on last year, what we have been doing is getting a pretty strong cadre of speakers that are willing to invest their talks and experiences, life experiences, in guiding kids. And unfortunately, I have no follow-up to display to you, but I do know that we have, how many did we have, Alice? I want to say like 30, did we get 30 counselors? Yeah, yes, she's nodding. So
Okay.
of the counselors that we had, we also empowered them to look for people that in local areas here. We're in New Mexico, so we're pretty spread out, but based on their experience as well as the people who responded, we had a lot of interest for speakers. as far as recruiting speakers, we don't have the problem that Mark has in that he's got physical divisions between islands. My son lives in Hawaii. It's the only reason I know. But we were able to get quite a few counselors who are involved, and we really do feel that counselors are the heart of the whole RYLA experience, because they have the kind of influence that we would like to see, like behind John's in John's background, in his virtual background, of having those people all connected to each other. So we were looking for the RYLA connection with the counselors, and then you having the speakers coming in as pinpointing a topic that they would obviously have experience in and be able to speak to with their breadth of experience in that area, and then have the kids come and we deal, and I should specify this, we deal with high school level children, kids at going into their senior year. So they were unencumbered, in many cases, not in all, by work, but some of them did have part-time jobs if they wanted to work with their families. And we encouraged that leadership capability as well. But we did not have the experience because we've just started with this, with the Girls RYLA Camp as directors. So that's all I can really speak to.
Okay.
And if they have any questions, I put my email in there. So.
Okay. Let's hear from, how about Kate? Is it Matos?
Yes, Kate Matos. I am the chair of the RYLA Northwest program and a graduate from the RYLA 7490 program on the East Coast. I am new to this position, and I inherited a program that normally serves 110 students in person. We have a 3-day conference, and it's held during spring break on a college campus. So the facilitators were college students who are looking to make some money, who are not Rotary affiliated necessarily. And really it was Rotarians who are running the curriculum. We are currently transitioning to a model, hopefully, that will use ropes courses, facilitators who are alumni. So right now we have 10 alumni facilitators from 2 different programs. And we're hoping to move in the direction of what I heard from like 5450 of modeled leadership generation after generation.
Thank you. And I see Bonnie Pendleton.
I just joined. I was in another meeting, so I have no idea what's going on.
Oh, okay. We're talking about RYLA, RYLA programs and how they're staffed.
Ours is just volunteer.
Okay.
Yeah,
Where are you
college.
from, Bonnie?
The Panhandle of Texas.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me tell you a little bit more about our camp. We have a 5.5-day camp. We have chosen, in our case, to go with a professional facilitation team. So about, 2007, we decided to contract with a group of young educators who worked with teenagers and developed a curriculum for us. We have continued with them. They are a group called True North Consulting, and they were in their 20s when we first contracted with them. They're all now in their early 40s with children of their own. So we have a team of 4 professional facilitators, and then we have 12 senior counselors. Many of them they're either upperclassmen in college or educators, young professionals. Many are Rotaractors, and many are RYLA alums themselves. And then we have 12 cabin counselors who live in the cabins. This is pre-COVID, of course. They live in the cabins with groups of 12 to 15 students. So that is our format. Rotarians, I've been the RYLA chair for a number of years, and I'm the youth services chair for my district. We do a lot of the behind the scenes work, the recruiting and payments from clubs and interface with Rotary clubs and all of that. But actually at camp, we're there to create a sense of safety and security for everybody but the facilitators and counselors then take the lead. We're in a support role, definitely. We meet at a camp that's in the center of our district in the Cottage Grove area in Oregon, that is set up with a low ropes course and zip line and climbing walls and things like that. So it's set up for challenges that are taken on by the counselors. So my question to you is, when you get set to recruit for your staff, what are you looking for, and how and where do you find them? Anybody?
Right
Well,
now, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Kate.
Right now, we use social media. So we have a Google form that has our questionnaire and application. We post it to our social media accounts. So we have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, now TikTok. And we have our facilitation team help spread that message. So we have the students, our alumni, basically volunteer and fill out the application form as they hear about it.
Okay. And do you compensate your staff?
Historically, we did, and we're moving to non-compensation now. So
Okay.
we're paying them with good feelings and professional development opportunities.
How about others? Do you pay staff, or are they all volunteers?
Yeah, I had a question. Joan, who are the you said counselors. Who are the counselors? Are they Rotarians or?
We have two levels of counselors. We have, as I earlier I said, we have on every team we have a Rotarian, what we call a senior counselor, and we have a junior counselor. All the junior counselors come out of our RYLA program, and at the end of the RYLA program, we ask who would like to be counselors for the following year. So we then interview all of them for the 5 different conferences that we run.
Oh, wow.
We throw, we ask if they have a preference in middle school, but we give it to them anyway. Most are looking to be RYLA at the high school level, but some want to be the young RYLA level, and then they are a junior counselor for 2 years, and then they have the opportunity to apply for the head counselors.
Yeah, so I have a question. Joan, you said 30 counselors? You said you had 30, you're muted.
Yes. Yeah, I'm not anymore.
Okay, are these Rotarians or are these alumni?
Yes. Well, I think almost all of them were Rotarians. They may or may not have been alumni. They were former counselors that we had in earlier camps, but they also have been, I'm going to ask Alice. Alice, unmute, honey, and let's address this. I know that we had, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So the question that was raised was whether or not all of our counselors were Rotarians, and I think I can say safely that 98% of them were, but not, I don't think everybody. Is that right?
Not everybody, but a major portion of our counselors are returning counselors year after year.
Yes.
Right.
And we have had some of our RYLA graduates come back and they're continuing in a counselor position. But we've also looked to our counselors who know the ropes of going to camp and say, is there anyone in your life that you think would be interested in this and be a benefit to the program and to themselves? And we've gotten some really great counselors through our existing counselor program. So
I have a
How
general
about
question.
Rotaract? Is anybody working specifically with Rotaract to, that bridge?
I live in Albuquerque and we do not have an active Rotaract
Okay.
program. Tony might be able to address El Paso because I think they're more active in that. Tony's also a director of Camp for 5520.
And
I'm not
Tony,
seeing Tony. I think he might have dropped off.
He had to go to an important meeting. It might have been a funeral. I'm sorry, I don't know. But he did tell me he might have to drop out during
Okay.
this session.
Okay.
But
There-
to,
How about Alan?
Our councils are mostly Rotarians.
Okay.
And in our district, there's 2 or 3 clubs that are recently formed, evening clubs that attract young professionals. So they're a great source for counselors.
Yes.
In fact, many of the counselors are from there, and others are like me and Larry, old timers.
Hey. I have a quick question. The program we have, we only have sophomores and juniors coming in. We don't allow seniors.
Right.
Is that consistent? Or, I mean, John, you have middle school, so can you share a little bit of what's the age group that you target in your RYLA camp?
For the kids?
Yeah.
For the kids?
Mhm.
Yeah. So the high school, they can be anything between their sophomore and junior and between their junior and senior year. Now, we may end up making an exception this coming year because we had a lot of kids apply and then we canceled the camp. So we may be kids that just, graduated in the coming year. That's a question we have. I don't know if we've gotten an answer for yet.
Well, most of our campers are sophomores and juniors. We don't let seniors come in because we want them to be alumni for the next year. So is that consistent with other RYLA programs?
Yes, we've been very intentional about that. And we went specifically to sophomores between their sophomore and junior years. So they'd have 2 more years of high school to contribute, to take the learning from RYLA and apply it and be leaders in their schools. One of the things, what was I going to ask? I lost my thought. So,
Kate, is that consistent with your RYLA program? I'm sorry to catch you eating something.
So when we stopped using local college students who are unaffiliated with Rotary, we began by asking our Rotaractors and alumni at the same time, and it was majority Rotaractors. Now we have a mix of Rotaractors, alumni, and I would say young Rotarian alumni. So Rotaract's not everywhere, and we have found graduates of our program and other programs who join at 22, a Rotary club, and so they're technically Rotarians.
Yes.
We view our Rotaractors and Rotarians as the exact same. So our committee, our facilitators include both, but the team is under 24 years old, our facilitators.
And the kids are sophomores and juniors?
We say high school students, preferably sophomores and juniors, and somehow we always get someone who's 14, and we sometimes get someone who's 19 that gets registered.
Huh.
Okay.
I think one of the questions I was going to have, I know some of the programs, it sounds like they're a long weekend, essentially like a 3-day program.
Yeah.
I'm thinking for recruiting younger Rotarians and Rotaractors, that probably works better actually, because one of the challenges that we have with the 5.5-day camp, it's essentially a full camp, and then we have a full day of training the day before students arrive. So people are being asked to give up an entire work week essentially, and we've found that challenging. Younger Rotarians just, they love Rotary and they love RYLA, but giving up a week of your vacation to participate in camp is not something, I used to do it, but not everybody is willing. So I'm wondering if that is, if you've adjusted your scheduling or anything to be more amenable to potential staffers.
I can address part of that because I'm glad you brought that up, Mary, because that's been a pretty contentious bone within our group. We do feel ours is a 7-day camp. And then on that 7th day, the transition from the boys leaving and the girls coming in.
Okay.
But the problem that we have had raised by counselors is, gee, is there a way that we can be, that's why we have so many counselors. We were hoping that if we needed to, we could spend the year before the camp itself training the counselors and developing a camaraderie and bonding among the counselors so that it's a smoother transition if somebody has to leave for some reason. The camp's only an hour away, but as you point out, the presence of having somebody there giving up their week of vacation or whatever the case may be, having them away from taking care of their kids and their family does become an issue. And it's all girls, so it's all women that are involved as the counselors. So,
Interesting. I'm wondering if there are many single-sex RYLAs. That's the first one I've heard of, I think. I think that's really interesting.
I believe that
question.
Texas has quite a few.
Okay.
oh,
Okay.
I can say that it works, I think, very well. Although the fireman that was on the last day of the camp for a lecture was pretty well mobbed by the gals there. So, but I haven't seen a guy for a whole week, so I don't know.
Have any
It's
of
pretty
the
funny.
others of you had issues with gender non-conforming or trans students? This
Yes.
came up for us the last go round. We had one trans student.
We had one non-binary student and historically had, well, and I should say our sleeping arrangements had posed a problem to some extent.
Yes.
In part because of religious reasons. Some of our more conservative students wanted more secluded sleeping arrangements than the
Okay.
broader rooms. All of our students were in a large room together, separated by dividers. And our staff
okay.
were kind of like the physical barrier as well. So we were already looking when we had our first non-binary student. And so we're looking at what other options exist for either
Yes.
2-person to a room or for smaller room, like 8 to 10 per room
Yeah.
options.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a challenge. We initiated a gender neutral bathroom this time. We do have cabins, and so our non-conforming person had to basically choose which she chose a girls' cabin for sleeping arrangements. But it was it was issues that we hadn't thought much about in past years, but we realized that probably more and more we're going to be dealing with it. It was a big issue for our staff. Many of them are college students. They're very well informed about gender issues, equity, diversity, that sort of thing. And so we had to be responsive, and we've had a little fallout actually with our staffers, particularly the ones who are active in social movements, that sort of thing. So it's been an interesting time for us. So in terms of training your staff, then how do you arrange to train your counselors and facilitators?
We had a day designated where, like Alan was talking about, those professionals, they structured a program for us where we got our fingerprinting done if necessary. So we pretty much have a dedicated day or 2 days if they could make it for that kind of thing.
Okay, so it sounds like
and the training's done by Rotarians.
Yes.
These people are people who that's what they do in their career.
Yes.
Well, I'd like to address that from our perspective. Again, we're in New Mexico. We had, and I have to credit Alice with this completely, because Alice's perspective was that we had to have a strong cadre of, in our case, because we have gender-specific camps,
Yes.
how it was specifically addressed to have the counselor as a model for appropriate behavior, but to be an observing position, not a guiding position, ostensibly. I apologize, there are birds. And I can mute. I'm sorry. They always have something to say. So the issue that we ran into and we addressed was to have a group of us on a regular basis consolidate. I do apologize. I'm sorry.
Well, maybe they have something important to say.
That the people that we had, go back to the question, I lost my train of thought when I got angry at the bird.
We were talking about staff training.
Oh, so the way it was transitioned in a topic that was someone's, let's say a speaker was going to give, they would give that speech. it was then the counselor's responsibility to moderate the discussion after the speech when they returned to their cabins, so that the four-way test could be applied to what they had learned and how they could apply the principles that they learned to their lives. And then they would share with each other, but the point of the counselor would be to have a back seat, not to be involved in the discussion, but to help bring up questions or issues that should be addressed by the kids.
How many kids in your camp, Joan?
I'm so sorry.
How many girls attend the camp? How big is it?
We had, I think we had 6 cabins. Was that right, Alice, or more?
We traditionally have between 100 and 120 girls.
Okay.
And it was too much
And
for
between
120.
75 and 100 boys.
Oh,
And our
Mark,
camps
Oh, that's it.
do not run simultaneously.
And each-
Mark made a comment in the chat that they have a number of LGBTQ students who attend, and I'm curious about staff. One of the things that's very big for our staffers is diversity, equity, and inclusion, which Rotary has also made some important statements about. It's very timely, of course. And Mark, I was just wondering, you mentioned you have LGBTQ students. How about staff?
There are a couple of staff members usually who are gay, and usually a couple or more of the junior facilitators who are RYLA alum, right?
Okay.
Yeah. They're
And-
usually the most popular people at the camp.
I found that as well. So how do you include that? Do you include that topic, or in terms of preparing staff for camp and
Yes.
the training that everybody gets? Rotarians
absolutely.
can learn, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because absolutely, and especially now that Rotary has come out with a strong diversity
Yes.
policy, I think it's even more important for us to take a stand and to make it part of the training.
Yes. Yes. We have 3 of our RYLA staffers are actually doing concurrent sessions right now. And one of them is diversity, equity, and inclusion. They're all Rotaractors. And I think we're very proud of the fact that we're listening and responding and continuously improving. You know, some of us are, I'm 70, and so we're kind of aging out in some ways, but it's been an education for all of us to work with wonderful staff over the years. So I'd like to go around with everybody and just a final thought about if you had to give one piece of advice on RYLA staffing to your fellow Rotarians, what would you say? So Jim, what would you suggest? What would be your recommendation?
One of the most important things to me is that the staffing is diverse, ethnically and in every regard.
Mm-hmm.
So a kid who is African American that comes feels like they're not an outsider.
Yes, thank you, thank you. Mark?
Yeah, you know, this is a central issue for me, and you know, one of the phenomena that has occurred in Hawaii is that a very small group of people have taken control of RYLA in the past, and it's become very much their thing. And often, you know, because we are aging in a lot of cases, a lot of the ideas that we have about leadership and how to teach leadership are very, very old-fashioned. I would like to see a lot more engagement with Rotary programs where there's a degree of professionalism. And what I have in mind is, for example, Mediators Beyond Borders,
Yes.
and the Institute for Economics and Peace. because I think they have a lot to offer in terms of workshops, curriculum, leadership, talent. Specific, I just watched a fantastic webinar by Patricia Schaefer, who is a Peace Fellow, but it's a whole curriculum on environment, the new area of focus. And
Wow.
it's specifically aimed at kids.
Okay. I'm
yeah,
going to
and
have
what-
to cut you off, Mark.
We're
We're running out of time. So Alan, how about you? What advice would you give to your fellows here?
I think recruitment of counselors is pretty important. And I agree that we should have a diverse set of counselors. Also, training, I think, is very important.
Yes.
Training them, counselors, not just to be caretakers, but facilitators. So they facilitate the kids understanding themselves, facilitate the discussion amongst the kids. Not
Yes.
lead the discussions, but facilitate the discussion.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. How about you, Joan?
Nothing further, I agree. Did you have a
Okay.
question, Larry?
No, I was just, so Larry, how about you? What advice or thoughts would you have for your fellows?
I think the most important thing is maintaining the continuity. So it's keeping the communication between the people who attend the camp and then go off to college, is maintaining that kind of, peer-to-peer relationship. That's real important.
Thank you. How about you, Alice?
Joni and I have been working really hard for almost a year to build our team of counselors in a different way. And it's that we are a unit and they are the heart of RYLA. And
Yes.
without these wonderful, in our case, young women, RYLA wouldn't happen. So we're working very hard to build a team to have everyone will have your back and that we'll move together as one. So
Thank you very much.
it's been hard.
How about you, Kate?
What we're trying to do, and you might be able to tell since I'm a very young chair, is that our emeritus chairs build up the RYLA committee, and then our committee builds up the facilitation team, and we're trying to give them as much responsibility as possible with oversight, and then that they are the ones who run the program. And so what I find is that when we give them the option to either weigh in on curriculum, to give their feedback, to lead, they're so much more engaged. They absolutely relish the opportunity to be young leaders in Rotary. And so trying to keep that model going.
Thank you, Kate. Bonnie?
I'm just going to advise that we shouldn't undersell senior citizens, because we've had some in our camp who the campers needed, special attention
Yes.
and were homesick and such. And the senior ones, they think of them as their grandparents, and they really get along really well together. And we've had diverse issues with, gay people, but no one doesn't seem to bother. And this is in far west Texas, where we're pretty conservative with a lot of things. So
Yeah. You're right about the grandparent role. Many of the Rotarians see that as their primary function at camp, is to create the safety and security so that they can explore and really do their very best at RYLA.
Bonnie, where are you
So
from?
I think we are almost out of time. Lisa, is that correct?
Bonnie, where are you from, by the way?
Canyon, Amarillo, Texas Panhandle, Permian Basin.
Texas. Okay, thank you.
Wow.
Yeah, the whole
So
area.
yes, you have 3 minutes.
3 minutes. So any other last thoughts from anyone? Thank you so much.
I have a question. Larry
Okay.
has an awesome RYLA shirt, and I cannot find vendors who have RYLA gear. How do you get your gear?
We got a guy in our committee who does graphics and stuff like that. I'll get you his name. He's great. So
Thank you.
yeah.
You can also get them in Russell Hampton.
Yeah, but they don't have it on the main page. You have to specialty.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a graphic person in our district as well. So we've always ordered our RYLA shirts. We have polos that we order from him. Well, thank you, everybody, for your participation and your support of our young leaders, your passion for RYLA. It's been delightful to meet you all virtually, and maybe sometime we can connect in real life. Wouldn't that be exciting?
It
So
would
thank
be.
you, Lisa, and I think we're going to wrap it up.
Yeah,
Right.
thank
So-
you all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a nice weekend, everybody.
Yes.
Bye-bye. Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
I'll email you, Kate. I'll email you that address.